Okay. If you're wondering why I abruptly ended the last one, I've learned to do these things in 5-minute intervals. But anyway, so back to what I was saying. So that was a young lady in Tennessee. Like I said, that was a complete and utter slap in the face. Okay, I feel like as a survivor and as a mother of a survivor, I feel like that was a complete slap in the face, and you can see where there is room for improvement. Okay. So the next topic that I want to talk to you about is victim blaming. Okay. So an Italian Supreme Court over 20 years ago, I'm not going to cry, an Italian Supreme Court over 20 years ago overturned a rape conviction case because they felt like the victim, like her jeans were entirely too tight. So therefore, because her jeans were entirely too tight, she consented to being raped. Let that sink in. Because her jeans were too tight, she consented to being raped. So now, as if the internal dialogue is not already loud enough in your head, as if you're not already contemplating, what could I have done differently? Did I ask for this? Was I in the wrong place at the wrong time? Did I say something? Is there something that I could have done differently? Is there something that I should have said? Could this have gone differently? Is there anything that I could have, is this really my fault? So as if that internal dialogue itself is not loud enough, you now have an authoritative figure telling you that it is your fault. Okay? It is your fault because of what you are wearing that you were raped. It is your fault because of your makeup or that you're so pretty that you were sexually assaulted. It is your fault. And this is not just the first case or the first incident or the first scenario. If you look, you will find countless of incidents to where judges have thrown things out because of something so foolish. A father raping his 3-year-old daughter, not serving any jail time because he just wouldn't do well behind bars. A 3-year-old. A 3-year-old, a child, a baby that cannot consent whatsoever. What about her? What about the victim of the Italian Supreme Court? What about her? What about the other men and women who have just been blowed off? What about them? Okay? And so that brings me to my third point of inadequate investigations. So they say that rape is practically impossible to prove. It's he say, she say, she say, she say, he say, what have you. It's your word against the other person's. Okay. So according to Samara Shackle, she testified that there are hundreds of thousands of rape kits. Remember, I talked about earlier those kits that have not, about having to undergo the investigation and the exams. Hundreds of thousands of rape kits that are in our nation's back system that have not been processed, that have not been tested. And so in her article, I love this quote. It says, if rape kits are not being tested, suspects are not being questioned, investigators are not being assigned, then victims are being labeled as uncooperative because somebody else has dropped the ball. So you think about it. And as I read more and more in her article, I realized that there are a lot of times when investigations and reports are made, they are dubbed as something else. or authorities are sweeping them under the rug because they just don't have enough time and enough manpower to really investigate. Tell me how we're supposed to justify this. Do you see where there is room for improvement?